Dark. Psychology facts you weren't supposed to know. Human behavior seems simple on the surface until you look deeper. Beneath everyday actions, our brains hide patterns, instincts, and glitches that even scientists still struggle to fully understand. Today, we're exploring dark psychology facts that reveal the hidden, uncomfortable, and shocking truths about how the human mind really works. Things most people don't know, and many would rather not believe. Let's begin with something unsettling. Your brain decides before you do. In multiple studies using neural imaging, researchers discovered that the brain makes a decision up to 7 seconds before you consciously choose. What you think is a free, instant choice is actually your brain preparing it long before you become aware. This means a big part of what we call free will is more like the brain submitting decisions to your consciousness after the fact. Here's another disturbing truth. Certain emotions, like fear and anxiety, can spread from one person to another without a word being spoken. Humans subconsciously mimic the micro expressions and breathing patterns of people around them. And this is called emotional contagion. Your friend might feel anxious, and you'll start feeling anxious too without realizing why. Now let's talk about memory. One of the darkest areas of psychology. Your memories are not recordings, they're edits. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds the memory from fragments, mixing real details with guessed ones. This means the stories we tell ourselves about our past are partly fiction, rewritten a little each time we're recalled. Even eyewitnesses, who feel absolutely certain, are often wrong. Here's something very few people know. Your brain can like someone before you consciously notice them. Within zero point 0.3 seconds of seeing a person, your brain makes a judgment. Safe, unsafe, attractive, suspicious, trustworthy. This primitive system evolved for survival, not fairness, which is why people form first impressions before they've even said a word. Another dark, psychological glitch. You don't see people as they are. You see them as you expect them to be. Your brain uses stereotypes, memories, and past experiences to fill in the blanks. Two people can look at the same person and see two completely different personalities. This is called projection, and it affects everything from friendships to relationships to politics. Speaking of relationships, here's a shocking truth. The more unpredictable someone is, the more addicted your brain can become to them. This is called intermittent reinforcement. Psychologists found that the most powerful form of attachment comes from inconsistent affection, reward, then silence, then reward again. It triggers the same dopamine loops as gambling machines. This is why people sometimes stay in toxic relationships long after they should walk away. Now on to manipulation, something most people never see coming. The easiest people to manipulate are the ones who believe they cannot be manipulated. Studies show that people who think they're too smart for psychological tricks are actually the most vulnerable because they let their guard down and ignore subtle cues. Here's something even darker. Your brain automatically scans every room for threats, even when you feel relaxed. And this is a leftover survival instinct. The brain constantly monitors faces, objects, doors, shadows, and voices and runs microscopic threat calculations. You don't notice it happening, but it's always running in the background. Let's talk about lying, something humans do more than they realize. People lie most often not to deceive others, but to protect their self-image. They lie to avoid embarrassment, preserve dignity, or maintain how they want to see themselves. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain lies to you as well. It edits uncomfortable memories, exaggerates your victories, and softens your mistakes. It creates a story about who you are, even if that story isn't 100% accurate. Another strange psychological fact. Your brain reacts to rejection the same way it reacts to physical pain. Brain scans show that emotional rejection activates the same regions as a broken bone or burn. This is why ghosting, silence, or social exclusion can feel physically unbearable. Let's talk about fear, one of psychology's darkest tools. If someone knows what you fear, they can predict your decisions. Fear triggers quick survival-based thinking. Marketers use this, politicians use this, manipulators use this. When people are afraid, they don't think, they react. Here's a creepy one. Humans are wired to obey authority, even against their morals. In the famous Milgram experiment, ordinary people delivered what they believed were dangerous electric shocks simply because an authority figure told them to. This experiment has been repeated worldwide, with almost identical results. And finally, one of the most shocking facts in dark psychology. You become the people you spend the most time with, even if you don't want to. Your brain mirrors their habits, emotions, speech patterns, confidence levels, and even their worldview. This is called neurological mirroring. It happens slowly, quietly, and automatically. Dark psychology shows us that humans are far less in control than they think. The mind is powerful, emotional, primitive, and deeply influenced by forces we don't even notice. Understanding these hidden truths doesn't just help you understand others, it helps you understand yourself. If you want more deep, rare, mind bending psychology facts, stay tuned. High Facts has much more coming.